Sound speed? Little guy, big girl. Wait, let me just fucking make sure my ass is in frame. Flip. Oh, is that manual? No, that's auto. Okay. Yep. Little guy, big girl. Podcast episode 8. Good for us. And go.
This isn't really episode 8. It's more like episode 7 because Aaron said that the last episode was something happened.
Something did happen. What was that?
It was fucking witchy.
This is the
Aaron.
witchy lamp.
You're the witchy lamp.
Whoa, what the hell? Isn't? Oh, it's a cat. For some reason, I imagine a witch on there.
No cats. They're witches too. You watch your back, boy. 'Cause you got 2 of them in your house. Easy.
How you doing today?
Anyway.
How's your day going?
Oh, so fine. I will most definitely sob on this podcast, and it's not a reflection of you. It's not a reflection. It is a reflection of me. It's a reflection of me.
No, it's a reflection of how you're feeling.
You know, I've eaten a lot of chocolate today, and I'm rotting. I'm rotting inside of myself. And have I moved my body in the past week? No, I haven't, and it's catching up to my mental health. I think I should have gone to a workout class today, but I can't breathe.
Yeah, you're sick. You're not feeling well.
Right. I have COVID.
What?
Just kidding, you guys. I don't. For Gran. For Gran is something that I say that means all my grandparents' life, and I would never take that lightly, except for when I was younger and would lie constantly on it because I didn't actually know what it meant. But now I take it seriously. I am having breathing problems because of my anxiety and because of my physical state. Yeah. And I just woke up from a nap.
Well,
How long was I asleep?
I have no idea. I think I was on the phone with my parents for
2 hours.
No, for like 45 minutes.
No.
It was not 2 hours. It was probably maybe closer to an hour. But I thought, hey, what better way for Sofia to wake up than have to go straight into a podcast?
No,
So
he
I set it
didn't
up.
think that.
I definitely thought that.
He was going to set it up before. Okay?
But I knew you were going to fall asleep.
Let me tell you something, okay? I woke up. I'm a drooler. I'm a wet, slobbery drooler. And I get it all over my arm when I sleep. Like.
When you get a nasty afternoon nap, ugh.
Oh, it was so filthy. It was so dirty. That nap.
Did you dream of anything?
Nothing. You know what that nap felt like, which was the dirtiest part of it all?
What?
Was that I closed my eyes and I opened them. And that's all I remember.
Wow. You were just
It
out.
was one of those sickening naps that just, it's a blink. It's a fucking blink. And you close your eyes and you wake up and damn. You hear your boyfriend talking to both his parents on the phone in their voices. Because when Aaron talks to the phone with his parents, he mimics their voices. Similar to how my father mimics people's voices when he talks to them on the phone, which is a lot more jarring. So I'm really grateful.
What do I sound like when I talk to my dad?
Oh, like
Do a sentence.
No, I'm not gonna do that to myself. I'm not ready for that right now.
Just
Please don't put me on the spot.
Oh, okay. God.
You act like a Jewish Brooklyn man.
We're going to have to blur that one out.
Why?
What about my mom?
You get really quiet and you talk like this when you talk to your mom. And when you talk to your dad, you're like, hey, Dad. Like, no, that was Southern. Bro, I can't do it.
It's okay.
It's like, is that racist to say Jewish?
No, not at all. There was
Bronx. Jewish Bronx man.
What did you say?
Brooklyn. I always confuse the two, the Bronx and the Brooklyn. You know what? I'm from neither. My family's from neither. And so they both start with a B.
You can't beat yourself. B-R-O.
That's
Bruh.
tough.
Brah. That's close.
And
Yeah,
do
you
they
can't
not
beat
sound
yourself.
similar? No, the Bronx is specific.
Yeah.
He's from the Bronx. The Bronx.
The Bronx is probably the only borough to not have been
Aaron
gentrified.
Aaron puts on a New York accent when he
Okay.
speaks to his father. I'm sorry for
What?
saying that.
What? I wasn't upset by that.
Yeah, you shouldn't be.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding.
I'm
if
not.
you feel upset, you're allowed to be upset.
I'm not.
Am I being nasty?
No, not
Am
at
I
all.
being
I love this.
Am I being evil?
What?
Am I being evil? You know, you can make fun of Greeks.
Yeah, of course.
That's a little different, though, because the Jewish people are a race. Do you believe that? They are. They are.
That's just funny.
No, they experience racism. Greeks don't.
Right.
You guys can, you know.
They do, but yes, conditionally.
They I believe that they're ethnic. Part of the
This one is fucked.
Fuck my life. I'm being problematic.
No, you're saying the right thing. The sentiment of what you're saying is correct. And
They're more ethnic than the Greeks.
well, people considered them ethnic only when they were trying to kill them all, you know?
Yeah, let me say this about Jewish people, okay? People just categorize them based on whatever
Clip it.
they want, and that's racist.
Say that again?
Jewish people experience racism because people categorize them based on whatever they feel
Who's
they
they?
want. The white people of America. Of life, the white people of life, bro. I don't know.
Yeah. I get
Of
what,
the
I get
world.
exactly what you mean.
The people of color too. The people of color too, bro.
Yeah. I hear you. 100%.
Jewish people experience racism. I said it. People think I'm Jewish all the time. I am not. Which
but
makes this conversation maybe
But you're
wrong
not
with me to
upset
have.
by it, the fact that they mistaken you for it. How do you feel when they go, "Oh, are you Jewish?" What do you feel? Do you feel negative or kind of flattered? Because I forgot, there was a comedian who I'm forgetting what comedian, but when asked, "Are you Jewish?" he said, "I don't have the honor."
Oh, that's actually such a great response. I'm gonna start saying that.
How do you really feel?
Um.
Anyway, let's move
No,
on.
I want to answer this question honestly.
Okay.
Personally, because people confuse me for everything but what I am,
Yes.
it offends me when I am mistaken for anything but what I am.
Gotcha.
It doesn't offend me, like it's fine. You can call me whatever, but I feel an insecurity about not looking Colombian enough. And so when people say that I look, they've said a lot of things that I look that I'm
Right.
not. That's why I use both my last names, Uribe and Angelopoulos, because I want to be clear, I'm Colombian and Greek and nothing else, because
Right.
that's what I am, and I think people confuse it a lot of the times with something else. But you know, my mom's family gets confused for everything under the sun, and they're Colombian. I think people just don't know what Colombian people look like.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what offends me more than, you know, people
Of
thinking
course.
I'm Jewish. But I do think, like, for example, if I was to have your last name, if we were to get married, they would all be like, she's Jewish.
Yeah,
They would, you know,
you're
like,
fucked.
people think my mom is Greek,
Oh, of course. Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
And she, I think, is a bit offended by that. Not that she's offended by being called Greek, but she's Colombian. And that's a very distinct, Klein is a very distinct name. You know that it's Jewish. You know that Angelopoulos is Greek.
Right. Yes.
So you're taking on that ethnicity with that name. It's not like Brown,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. You are correct.
Or like the last name Brown, not the color. Well, I guess it is a color too. You
Can we
know what
fact
I
check
mean.
that?
You know what I mean, though.
Yes, you answered that very well. I wasn't sure how that was going to go.
What do you think I am? Who do you think I am?
No, that was just...
You think
even-
I'm nasty. You think I'm dirty.
I am Jewish, and even for me, that would have been a hard one for me to...
Well, how do you have the most Jewish name I've ever seen in my life, Aaron Klein. Like,
Whoa.
you just
Chill.
descended from the Torah with that.
Whoa, chill.
Am I being really bad?
No, you're doing good.
Because that's in the Old Testament, and I carried the Torah when I went to temple. I did want to be Jewish for a while, actually. Because I think that, based on the religions that I've studied, which are Catholic, Orthodox, both of which I am Jewish, I think Jewish was actually what I aligned with most as a natural person.
A lot of people feel that way.
And I feel very welcomed at temple because I went to a Catholic church, to Catholic school, and we had to study other religions to help us better understand world religions. And I studied Judaism, and I went to the temple with my mom and sister, and they brought us up to like open up the Torah as their guests, and I felt very honored and welcome. And then afterward, everyone was like hanging out eating cheese platters at the end. Like, it was just really wonderful. And I know that it's supposed to be really difficult to convert, but it did seem like a very welcoming religion. And I understand why it's difficult to convert.
Yeah. No, it is.
And I did see that process on Sex and the City. Which was really enlightening for me. If I was like an average girl, like an average non-religious
to religion
girl, I would 100% convert to Judaism for Aaron. I think it's a beautiful religion and a beautiful culture that if we had children, I'd want to raise my kids in that culture. I'm having a lot of struggles with my own religion right now, though. So
why is that?
Maybe that's why I'm clinging on to Judaism.
Why are you having struggles with Catholicism?
Catholicism, I really tie my religions together. I don't tend to separate them.
What do you mean you tie them together?
I think there's a lot more similarities and differences they're both Christian religions.
Right.
The only difference is that one reminds me of my Greek side, one reminds me of my Colombian side. That's the way I categorize them.
Right. So what is giving you trouble?
Well, we talked kind of earlier about this.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that there's a lot of beliefs that the church has that I don't have. And I always wanted to raise my children in a religious way because that's the way I was raised, and I thought it was so tied to my culture, and I wasn't raised with the languages of my cultures, so I think that the few ties that I had to them I really valued.
Yeah.
And religion was one of those things. And it just makes me so sad that religion, my religion, is used in such a corrupt, evil way to manipulate people. And I see a lot of innocent, loving, wonderful people that I care for believing a lot of harmful things due to religion. And
with religion being the reasoning for their belief.
Yes. And I don't know if that's what God would believe. I know that that's getting really deep over here on this podcast.
Well, I think we've talked about this in some capacity, but I have a limited experience with religion. I was born, I remember going to temple up to a certain point. I was about 13 when I stopped, and I don't think I've been since. So that...
I think we have a more similar tie to religion than you think.
But what I'm saying is...
I actually think you're probably more tied to religion than me.
I don't think so, but I'm limited in some capacity. I also saw my father... but with Judaism, and especially in my family, it was tied to culture, and my dad putting it on us. Not putting it on us, but having us grow up with it was certainly a way to carry on. I mean, his parents were in the Holocaust. You know what I mean? Like, it's certainly keeping, quite literally, the flame. Right. as the Jews did back in the day.
Aaron,
That's what they did.
continue.
Okay. And I saw him sort of wean away from it, from probably what potentially you were feeling, or maybe he just did it because he wanted to instill that culture with us. I don't know. However, I remember one time being in temple, or was it? No, it was a field trip in my elementary school, and I was always very averse to going into churches. For some reason, that felt like I was betraying something in a weird way,
Your God.
which is, I mean,
The same God.
should
We
be
have
all
the same
same.
God.
Yeah.
Jewish people, Christian people, and Muslims all have the same God.
Yeah, it's just like different.
No, literally, they have the same God.
Right.
It's the same one.
Right.
I don't know about the Buddhists, though, so I gotta study that up.
Apparently Buddha was like a prince.
Apparently, they're chilling.
He was hanging out, but he was also
We know
like
a lot of
on
people.
top.
There's a lot of people also like claim Buddhism.
People will like neo-claim Buddhism, be like, I'm Buddhist as
I think-
hell.
Yeah,
But it's easy to do. I get it. It's an attractive religion.
it is attractive.
But if you read into it, I agree with the lifestyle. You know,
What is the lifestyle?
well, we should be we should be content with our own self, this ability that our minds and spirits and bodies are enough. You know, that I can get with, and that I'm down with. But there's an aspect of Buddhism, if you look at like the historical context for how it kind of all came together. And this is all religion to a certain extent, but I think Buddhism kind of gets the rap of being the cool religion. I think Hinduism is maybe a little bit more of what people think Buddhism
Or
is.
Buddhism probably gets the rap of being the non-harmful religion.
Yes, that's what I mean.
I don't know enough about it. Hinduism.
Anyway, whatever. We don't have to go into all that stuff. But I think if I was objectively looking at it, it would maybe be Hinduism, maybe Buddhism, then
But
Judaism.
which one had... Okay, this might be like a society, but which one had the castes?
Say that again?
The caste system.
The caste
Was
system?
that part of a religion?
I'm not familiar with this.
The caste system basically stated that you were born into your social position and you had to stay there, and you could only rise in social position as you were reincarnated each time. And what I don't know a lot about it, as I don't practice whatever religion it's tied to, and I don't know which religion it's tied to.
Alexa, what religion adheres to the caste system?
From SuburbanCentral.com. The caste system is a unique feature of the Hindu religion.
Told you.
Fuck.
And the thing with the caste system is that there's this caste called the Untouchables, I think. And that is a group of people that the other caste literally won't go near or touch. And like, if you have certain jobs, you remain in that your whole life. And it basically like solidifies classism. I could have also been taught that as a way to promote capitalism. I don't want to lie about what these Catholic schools have been doing to me. I don't know. But it did sound pretty fucked when I read about it.
If you dig deep enough anywhere, you'll find some dirt, baby girl. But yeah. Well, that I feel enlightened now.
I think every religion
There's a
comes
pro-con
with
list.
social structures that can be harmful.
I found that a lot of, when you look at the pinnacle of how religion was kind of created,
Right.
you have a visitor, on how religion was structured, it tends to be a bunch of horny dudes who wanted women to look after them. That's
Right.
just in my limited knowledge and research. So I don't know. I'm just a dude in a comfy right now. I don't know what I'm talking about. But going back to what I was saying before, I remember viscerally walking into a church, and I think I remember this very clearly because I was averse to it. It was in elementary school,
Yes.
which actually it's illegal for public schools to infringe religion on students in any way. But we went to a church. It doesn't matter. We went to a church, sat down, and it was during a service was going on at the time, although we were there to hear a talk. And I remember seeing a woman, and she was standing up, and she was just,
She's scratching you.
oh, yeah. And she was crying.
Wow.
And I think that there's a beautiful release. I think that some people need a sense of guidance.
I used
And
to
they
do
don't
that.
know, stand up and cry.
Not stand up, but I would go to churches when I was lonely.
You would cry. Yeah,
And I would
right?
cry.
Some people need that guiding force. And I think that there can be something beautiful in that.
That's what makes me so sad.
And I think that a lot of people's relation, when they think about religion, and you think about what it did for you, and I think if, some people, they're born again, but I think that there's also a certain percentage, and I think you're in that percentage where if you were religious, or if you have that tie to religion, or you want to pass it on, because it reminds you of a time where you felt guided. I think that especially when it is tied to family, it is tied to love. I've said this to you before, but my favorite line in Les Mis is, to love another person is to see the face of God. And I think that in many ways, people's relationship to religion is their relationship to what it meant to be loved as a child, which is the moments where you were brought to church as a family and you could just be there and just release.
And I do think it's really important to believe in something outside of yourself.
Yeah.
Because not only does it not feel as lonely, but you are doing something for a greater purpose, and you're not as selfish in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we all need more of that.
Totally.
I think that religion can be a very harmful thing, and it can exclude a lot of people.
Yeah, my issue is when it comes at the cost of, and this is my philosophy on any belief system, the second it infringes on something another person might believe in,
Yeah.
that's when I have
It's
an
wrong.
immediate problem with it.
It's wrong.
And I think
agree.
that there are ways for you to be religious in a way where it's not inherently a huge problem.
Yeah.
I think that any structure of power is a problem.
I agree.
So the religion is one of the biggest super forces on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Big problems there. But so does any corporate environment. So does anything that contains large amounts of capital. That's a big fucking problem. Government. That's a big fucking problem. Anything that
But I think those things aren't claiming to be good. And
I think people who are in the government would say that they're good. But yeah,
you don't look to the government. You do look to the government for guidance, but I think not as much.
I think that religion, and I'm not using this strictly, but I think that, well, there are certain religions that do attract an almost cult-like force behind it, where it's like you don't question it because that is the word of this higher power. So I think that there is that aspect of it that doesn't.
I think people just want to be saved. I think
Right.
that's a very human thing, that we just want to be saved.
Yeah.
And
Like, I thought it was always like a weird thing because I grew up, Jews don't believe in hell. So that was never something I was told. So things I was told straight out the gate: Santa isn't real, and hell is not a thing.
Right.
And those things I had to be pretty hush-hush on.
I think telling people that hell is fake is kind of fun. Maybe not
But also
Santa.
Santa,
No,
like,
don't ruin.
First grade, I knew.
Right. That's hush hush.
That is like big
that's
T too. Can you
you-
imagine you or me trying to keep that in? Can you imagine you keeping that in the first
Well,
grade?
I remember the day I found out the Easter Bunny wasn't real, and I said, "Mom, but is Santa still real?" And she said, "Of course." And my mom to this day has not told me. She will not admit that Santa isn't real. She to this day says she fully believes in Santa. She fully believes in Santa. And
That's
she
a
says,
great way to philosophize your mother.
"What do you mean?"
Like, I think that her outlook on life is just, you know what? I think this is for the greater good for me to believe in this.
That's so true.
So I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm gonna bring it home. Well, one time, my sister, she always retells this story. My mom, even though she's a realist, is a very magical thinker. And I think that
That's
it's
very true.
important to be a magical thinker in life. And I wish that I had more of that. I think I'm a realist. What do you think?
I think you
I'm
have
more of a romantic.
Yeah, I think you have very big goals. I think you have a very
But-
not romanticized, but I think you have a very romantic idea of the way that life can be structured. But I think that sometimes there is a shadow of,
Doubt.
it's not doubt. You're not doubtful in your ability or in yourself. I think maybe it's a shadow of, it's like you have a tiny little hammer and you're just kind of tapping your thigh with it. You know what I mean? Like there's just this little thing.
I don't know what you mean.
I'm not going to say pessimism, but just something.
It's okay.
Because that's not the right word for it.
Well, what's funny is that my mom is the realist in the family.
Yes.
I think my mom's side of the family, they're realists. But they're very, very, very positive people. And I think realists are often conflated with negative people. And I actually think that when you start being realistic about things, you like, for example, my anxiety, I think, makes me not very realistic about things. Like, I didn't clean the studio enough yesterday. And a realistic thinker would be like, it's okay, just clean it better tomorrow. You're not going to get fired. But I think a non-realistic thinker is thinking, oh my God, I ruined my job, my reputation, like I'm doing a horrible thing. Those were the thoughts that were going through my head.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because I think like my dad, for example, I think he's a little bit more negative, but he is not a realistic thinker at all.
Yeah, I agree.
He blows up ideas in his head. And I think that, you know, going back to magical thinking, I think it could be either way.
I think there's spirituality involved too, and I think that.
But like, for example, my mom, Leela, had an iPod Touch when she was younger. And all she wanted for Christmas, all she asked for from Santa, this was the year that she stopped believing in Santa, that someone in her class told her Santa isn't real.
Right.
I think she was in 5th grade. 5th
grade?
My mom kept it going for a while.
Oh, that's a long time.
I think I was like probably that old, or 6th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe 4th grade. We were old. We were really ridiculously old.
Well, that's old.
Like my mom, there's no doubt in her face when she says Santa is real.
I've seen it.
It's terrifying.
I've seen it like a year ago.
Yeah. Like she would make you believe in Santa, I think. The way that she says it with such conviction.
She could well try.
It's terrifying.
She does say it with conviction. She's like, I don't know. I'd be like, I guess, yeah.
But Leela, hi Donna. For Christmas, all she wanted was her old iPod Touch back, which had been lost for years.
Man.
And you know my mom, praying to Saint Anthony in Spanish 24/7, asking to find this iPhone. And she found it. She found it the day before Christmas.
Wow.
And she said to me and Andreas, because she was almost going to tell Leela that Santa, like, she never told Leela that Santa wasn't real. Leela was getting bullied at school because she still believed that Santa was real.
Oh, man.
And, you know, she said, well, I found the iPhone and that was Santa. That was the Christmas magic. And she did find the iPhone after
That's
years. Or the iPod Touch, because Leela wasn't allowed to have a phone.
Right. I mean, hey, I've always subscribed to the life of Pi philosophy, which is, man, believe whatever the fuck you want.
If it doesn't hurt other people.
As long as it affects nobody else. And
I
you
think
don't
it
make
can
it
affect
anybody
people in
else's
a
problem.
positive way.
It could totally affect anybody in a positive way as well.
But unless you're infringing on people's rights.
Yeah. Or you're getting bullied because
Of Santa.
you believe in Santa.
Yeah, my mom's a little stubborn
And
in
you're
her
like
magical
13.
thinking. Yeah, don't make fun of her.
No, I'm not. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, I don't know what to say about that, but I was feeling a little... I often feel a little confused about religion, and for a lot of members in my family, even if they don't go to church, because my family doesn't go to church anymore, we haven't gone for years.
Yeah, they don't.
It's just still a matter of fact, like it's real. It's just fact to
Right.
us. And I think in a lot of ways I could even be more spiritual than my family.
I think you are. What's funny is they're total realists, but I oftentimes even forget that they're religious because I don't really see it in the house or in the ways that they talk about it.
Well, you can tell
sometimes-
my abuelita is religious.
Yeah, of course. But I'm talking about like your parents or your siblings, for instance.
Yeah.
I forget that sometimes, and then I see it, and then I go, right, I forgot. But I think in certain cases it's more tied to a connection of family, and
I do
bringing
too.
back-
Like my dad, it's purely tradition. I
yes,
don't know if my dad would pray alone.
I don't think I don't know. Maybe. I think your mom would.
Know. I think my mom would probably prays every day and doesn't tell anyone.
My mom does that,
Right. And I think, I don't know.
and I don't think my mom believes in any particular. She doesn't follow any religion.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know who that there's a meditation in that, and that's what I can
But
respect.
I think it's more than a meditation because, for example, my abuelita, she's very, very almost religious about meditation. She does it all the time. And I think it's a faith that you have that things will work out, that you'll be okay, that life is ultimately good over evil.
I think that, quite honestly, that has to be a person's disposition if they have like a shot at being happy.
But a lot of people don't believe that.
I know, and I understand why, but I do question what does that do?
No, I agree, but like it's a thing of like I remember going to college and you have all these people questioning their upbringing and their religion and their disposition in the world. And a lot of people, I remember, it was a constant conversation of if morality even matters.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, that's psychotic.
It is. But to me, it was tied to religion. And it wasn't tied to a thing of, I'm going to go to hell. I never believed that I was going to go to hell. I mean, there are times that I think about death and I get scared. Like, I'm not the best person. Maybe heaven isn't the place for me, but I hope it is. And I think in those moments, like, of doing the right thing, because of the way I was raised with those values.
Right.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems the obvious choice to me.
So people, wait,
Like, I think I have guilt because if I don't do the right
yeah,
thing.
I think
I think most people do.
yeah.
But I think some people could be like, well, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I do think religion can instill a type of consciousness that you see yourself. You know what it is? I think it's you're seeing yourself outside of yourself. You're seeing yourself as a community.
And I think
how
that's
do
really important
I totally
in a
agree.
place like America.
I think it's how do I exist as a in Eastern philosophy
And
of
it does feel like oftentimes people who are religious in America, it's coming from a cultural standpoint, from a familial standpoint, from something outside of yourself.
right.
Though that's not always true.
Yeah.
That's the way I was raised. So I'm speaking from my own perspective.
Yeah.
I don't know. The point is, do good, be good, love your neighbor.
Just be a good guy.
Just be a good guy. Because in the end, it's better off to benefit someone else's life when you're dead.
You'll feel better.
And I'm so tired of people being selfish. I'm selfish. I see it in myself all the time. I'm tired of myself being selfish sometimes. I don't know. I'm feeling very emotional this past couple days.
Yeah. Why is that?
'Cause I went home and I always feel like I know that it's a very also I'm sorry if I'm taking a lot of the space.
You're doing great.
I just
This is what I wanted.
I just want to make it clear, like, if you want to chime in and take over for a while, let me
This is
know.
all 10 out of 10. This is why you're in the chair and I'm on the couch. I just want to make that clear.
And I just want to make it clear that I'm saying whatever the hell I want because I'm not wearing makeup right now. And my voice really matters when I don't wear makeup. Because I'm ugly. But Aaron still told me that I looked great, which was a lie. But I appreciate that he said it. Yeah. I also woke up from sleep, so my face is puffy. And I think one of my boobs might be out. But anyway.
You're definitely wearing like a full covered shirt, so
No, it's
not
see-through
even
if
a
you look
little
closely.
bit.
You see that?
Oh yeah, I do. Wait,
like
show
that?
me again. Again, no. Anyway, continue.
We like talk about religion for an hour and then it's like, show me your titty. Oh, that's disgusting and lovely at the same time. No, we did a special podcast where you'll see us literally traveling from San Francisco to here.
Bonus this weekend.
But Aaron specifically wanted it to be a bonus because we both like to recoup in this space, and it feels like this is the space where we need to have one podcast per week. So it's coming out a little later to you guys this week, but we still wanted to show it off and really have this space to recuperate. It feels really nice to do this every week, and I'm starting to want to show it off. I'm proud of what we're saying, what we're doing here.
We're getting better at it too, I feel like.
We are. We're getting closer. Anyway, every time I go home, first of all, I have never been good with travel since I was a little kid. It makes me so anxious. I take like a week to adjust wherever I am, and I feel like my body actually goes back in time when I travel, which is crazy.
Well, it fucks up your circadian rhythm and you're just all over the place.
But it shouldn't. People travel for work all the time and they're completely fine. But I feel like my body breaks down every time I travel. Even if it's a 6-hour drive, even if it's an hour flight, I feel it. And I go home about once a month, sometimes more, sometimes less. And I can go home that often because I live this close. I think if I lived any closer, I'd have to go home more often. If I lived any farther, I probably wouldn't. I don't know. And I think it's not even tied to what my family says or does at this point, but I always feel taken out of my life a little bit. And it takes me a while to readjust. And it takes me a while to feel like this life is worth it. Not to sound dramatic, but that this life that we've kind of started to build in Los Angeles is worth it. Because I go home and I am dead for those 3 days that I was home. And, you know, Leela had a graduation party. And so we were just hands-on the whole time. We were like, I don't think I did one thing for myself in that time, which is totally fine. And I think I feel when I go home selfish for wanting to do things for myself when I'm home. You know, or selfish for being like, I need to go back and get my life back in track. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel...
Well, you feel like you're leaving something.
Yeah. And I just feel like that's a stupid thing to say, and that my family would think that's a stupid thing to say.
Oh, that you want to go back and start your life and continue your...
Not even that, but even like, okay, I need to go for this walk today while I'm home.
Yeah.
Or...
Holy crap. Yeah, you got pushback when you'd be like, I just need a walk.
Yeah, or it's like, or I need to work on my lines for an hour.
Yeah.
I can't take those moments for myself when I'm at home, and I feel really guilty for taking them because I'm only with them for a limited time.
Yeah.
And then when I come back, I have to cram everything into one day, but I'm dead tired, so my body can't keep up with what I need to do.
Right.
And that sounds so basic because it happens every time I travel. But I guess like when I go home, and I feel so messed up for saying this. I really do. When I go home, I don't take time for myself ever.
Was that it? Were you
was
going to
it.
say something else?
That was it.
Oh.
But
That's
I feel
fine.
But it's not that I don't enjoy it.
I thought there was something juicy about it.
No, there's nothing juicy.
Okay.
But I feel like that's a selfish thing to say.
That you need time for yourself?
Well,
You need your own space to function.
no.
Part of the
I
reason
know.
why children are freaks is because they're in an enclosed space that they have to report to on other people's time.
Well, children need that.
Of course. You can't have a baby army, as we've discussed before.
Though I have to say that I think about the way that I went to school from 8 to 3 every day. I couldn't do that now.
No.
That's an awful way to raise a child.
Oh, that was terrible.
I don't know what the alternatives are, but I hope they figure one out before we send our children to school.
Like waking up at 6 in the morning, going to school until 5.
Yeah.
I'd be at school till 5 every day, doing homework till 10.
Yeah.
And then you need an hour to just do something else.
Well, I would do ballet for 2 hours.
You'd be going to bed at like 1 or 2 in the morning. I remember if I got 4 hours, 5 hours, that was great. If I could get 5 hours, that was great. Yeah. That was so rare for me.
And like now I go to work for like 5 hours and I'm dead. That's pathetic. I think I need to check that out.
On my computer. And
it's like after I graduated, I stopped having energy. Anyway.
Also COVID shit. Some bullshit.
The point is, it takes me so long to readjust when I come back here.
That makes sense.
And it also like, I'm like, why even come back here? And, you know, like yesterday, for example, I got up at 5 after coming home at 10, which was fine. After driving in at 10, we didn't do anything but drive yesterday. And I woke up and I was...
Was that yesterday we drove?
No, the day before.
Oh, okay. Yesterday was right.
Yesterday, and I had a shift from 5:30 to 12:15, which isn't even that bad.
The time is fucking terrible.
But I was really sick.
You were sick.
And
you are sick.
You know. Well, am I sick though?
Yeah, you are. I can hear it. I can literally hear it.
I have a cold. I don't know if that's really illness. But anyway, my boss called me and he was really sweet about it. but he basically was saying that I needed to pick up the details of cleaning. And, you know, also we purchased a gift card for my sister.
Was crazy.
So yesterday we purchased,
when we were home,
mm-hmm.
we went to Safeway because Sofia's sister is going on a graduation trip.
Yes.
And she didn't have a debit card set up for her. And you don't want to carry around that much cash. So we went to Safeway and we picked up one of those like Visa gift cards.
Right.
Which I've used growing up. Like mostly
Which also
because
like just should work if they're in a Safeway. Like it's not like we picked it up from a random spot. We picked it up from the local Safeway that we go to all the time. Yeah.
Anyway, so like I wasn't sussed out by it because I've used them a ton before.
Yeah.
Mostly to like order shit online when I was like 13 and I didn't want my parents to see it. That was mainly what I used it for, but anyway, not important. But we bought it and didn't work. Made phone calls, no one's answering.
And I put my card down because we brought my mom's card, but because the amount was higher.
You need ID.
We need ID to put money on the card. And I put my card down because I had my ID with me and I didn't want Aaron to put his card down. That didn't make sense. And, you know, the card, she was at her trip away from home and the card wasn't working. And I'm at work and my mom is freaking out about the card. She keeps calling me. So I'm getting phone calls every 5 minutes about how I'm losing money, about how the bank, how this is a scam and it's being stolen from me and that my whole family is out $500. Sorry, you can bleep the amount. I don't know.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Right? That makes it juicier.
Right. It adds detail.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Anyway.
It's a lot of money.
So I felt responsible and my mom had already Venmoed me the money that I paid. So she was acting, you know, she was out the $500, not me. Because I put it on my card, but she already had.
But it was complicated because in order to deal with it, because it was connected to Sofia's accounts, it was something that we needed to do stuff.
Yeah.
Because we purchased it under your card.
Right. With
your information. There was just affairs that we had to get in order. It was just like literally it was the day after we
got back.
It was just a lot.
It was my long shift. It was my 7-hour shift. And my mom was calling me every 5 minutes I was cleaning. And I was sick. And I didn't clean, I guess, well enough. And then I am back and forth with my mom. And clearly she's stressed. So she snaps saying, you need to remember when you purchase something that expensive, when you put that much money on your card, you need to save the receipt. And she kind of yelled at me about not saving the receipt, and I flipped out and I was like, you also were there and you didn't grab the receipt. And it became this whole thing. And I
was there. I didn't grab the receipt.
Everyone was there. No one grabbed the receipt. I start sobbing. I go into the bathroom. I start sobbing. I have a self-tape to do. We do the self-tape. I'm sick. My voice sounds awful. I don't even think I did the self-tape very well. And I get a text from my boss in the middle of the self-tape saying, did I close up today? And, you know, there were a few things left undone. And I was so anxious about it. I couldn't even do the self-tape until he said, call me. And he was really sweet about it. But it just sent me over the edge. And I didn't want to be like, I'm sick or I lost money today. I don't want to make excuses because at the end of the day, it's my responsibility and I should have done it. And oh my God, it just, I was like doing the rest of the self-tape and I was just breaking down. I felt like I was disappointing the whole world. And I know that it's such simple things like The $500, my mom figured it out. She called Safeway and I had punched in the number apparently, and she got the receipt back. And today I stayed later to clean, and, whatever. I hope it's clean enough now, but it's not, neither were the end of the world. I just felt like I can't do anything right. I really felt like, and there's such simple things, like I can't help my family out with a simple thing for my sister. I can't do my job right. That's a very easy, simple job. All it is cleaning. And I felt like such a loser yesterday. And I felt like, oh my gosh. And then I took a nap, and then I went to work today, and then I took a nap, and I drooled all over my arm, and now we're here sitting here having a conversation. But I feel very frazzled when I go home. I didn't feel that way when we came back from Disneyland. I don't know if it is travel or if it's when I go home. And I also feel, sorry.
Go for it. Go for it.
I also feel very lonely in those moments.
Yeah.
Because I would love to talk to my family about the way that I feel, but I can't because that's rude. And to tell them that, I feel stressed out every time I go home. I love seeing them. I love seeing them, and it brings me joy, and it makes me want to stay home. And I don't want them to feel like me seeing them is like me complaining every time. And I know that when I go home, sometimes I have a sour face on and they notice it. And it just feels like very complicated for me every time I go home. It feels very like I need to be fully present there. And then when I come back here, I feel like I'm playing catch up to my life.
Right.
But it's so, like, people go home all the time. People travel to San Francisco from LA all the time. It's a very normal thing. Like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. And that's what makes me upset.
I think, and if I can add something, and this isn't in any condemnation or scrutiny of your family or you or me, maybe me, I don't know. Because one thing that I appreciate is how in touch your family is with each other. You guys are a very close family, and that's something to appreciate. And it's something I appreciate, and I feel like I have an extension of family because of it, and I appreciate that. However, I do, and I think I sometimes in the past have felt this way when, going home, especially when we go home, it's because there's a big event happening. Your sister graduating, your family getting together. The next time we'll be going back is because it's your big family get together, going away. So it's always surrounding a rather big life event that requires you to do a lot. It's not like you're just going home for the week or going home for the weekend just to hang out and be there. Like, there's a lot that comes to having, and I don't think you're alone in thinking that. There's a lot that comes to having to be present with family. The whole conversation of, oh, what are you doing? Or, oh, like there's this sense of being here, even if there's nothing directly tangible. It's like, I feel like there's like this snowball of progress we feel.
That's true.
Kind of building up. Because we can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Something is going,
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back, and it almost feels like we regressed into a square one sort of thing, because we're asked questions, there might be expectations, there are things we have to do, and I love your family, and I feel my parents are great, but I think a lot of people sometimes feel this way about their families, and even my family too. They're not involved in what we do. They don't deeply understand it, and they try to. They really do try. But there is this sense of like, oh, that's great, or this sense of, oh, go on, yeah, go. To me, that it can be hard. It makes me feel stupid for taking myself seriously. And that's not intentional. They're not doing anything to put that on. And I'm not talking about your family specifically.
Yeah,
I'm
it's any
speaking
family.
generally.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel that way when they go home. But sometimes, and that's because you're entering their life. We're apart right now. Our lives are not connected in this moment. When we go back, it's connected, but we're in their world. You just happened to live there before. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So now you're entering your world, coming from a different place with different tension, with different people, with different connections. You're going back and you're re-entering that bubble, the bubble you grew up in and left when you were 18, which is what most people do. Mm-hmm. And that's just a different fucking thing. And suddenly you're 16 again. Right?
Yeah.
17 again with Zac Efron. And that's a real fucking thing.
Yeah.
And that's a really difficult thing to grapple with. And then you come back here and it's like you left home for the first time. You're saying that. The last time we came back, it feels like we just moved here again. I'm feeling the same way I felt that first night when we were so scared.
Yeah, and it
sad.
makes me so scared and sad. It brings it all back. And it takes me a week to readjust. And then I go back on the, and it's not that I don't want to be there, because when I'm there, and there was something that Stefan said, my cousin, who's in our special, that made me realize, he said, I am the most myself when I go back to San Francisco. And I really thought about it. Am I the most myself when I go back to San Francisco? Maybe I am. And why shouldn't I be where my self is? Do you know what I'm saying? And I think you're always reminded of who you are when you're home, when you're with your family.
I think you're reminded of the way you grew up. Mm-hmm. And maybe you like the person that you've become. But I don't feel that way when I go home.
I agree. I don't think that about you. I think you're most yourself when you're not home. I
feel the most myself when I'm, for example, when I'm here, I feel like myself. When I go home, I feel like I love going home, but I don't feel this sentimentality, or I felt like I really was waiting to grow into myself after I left.
I was too.
And I think that your family, the ship it runs, it's a very particular dynamic, mm-hmm. and there's a very specific framework. Mm-hmm. And I think when you enter it, you're going to sit in your cabin. Otherwise, the ship's not going to fucking take off, So if you're in a different place when you're outside of it, you have to fit into that room.
Yeah.
And I think that, and you do it because it just makes sense, but I don't think it's where you're at right now in your life. And I don't
know where I am, though.
You're not there.
I think what's hard about it is that I love it, though.
Of course.
I think I love it more than most people do. I think that my family, okay, guys, I love the Kardashians, and Kim Kardashian, I'm going to quote her. She once said something like, I would have no career without my family. I wouldn't be interesting. I wouldn't have anything. I really believe that my family is what makes me interesting. It's what I am.
I think anyone's upbringing creates that extension of themselves.
Yes
I
and
think
no. Yes and no.
For you in particular, well, I do truly believe.
I am best friends with my cousins, my siblings.
Right.
Most people can't say that.
Yes.
My aunts, I would confide anything in them. Mm-hmm. My grandparents, my family, that's my social circle.
You guys could be the next installment of the Fast and Furious movies.
Shut the fuck up.
I fucking truly believe that.
Oh my God, Aaron. I think that I don't know what to take of that, but I'm not going to go further into it.
Okay.
I don't know. And I miss my family. Like, there used to be this sense of guilt that I would feel when I left in Michigan because we would fight about me coming home. But now it's less of a fight. It's just like, my dad will say a passive comment, but it's out of sadness. It's not out of aggression. It's out of love. And I see that way more now. Like, my mom will hug me and be like, please, can you stay an extra day? And that hurts because it's what I want. I want to stay the extra day. I want to, like, I do feel detached from myself when I'm not with them.
Yeah. That
But
totally
I don't
makes
think
sense.
most people feel that way about their families.
Whenever I leave home, and I'm not someone who is confounded. Is she purring?
No, but she looks so cute right now.
Yeah,
She looks
she
like a little
does.
sloth.
They can't see her face, but she does. She does, in fact. I think that I'm not as interconnected as you are, and I still feel a big heaviness when I get on the plane.
That's true. You do.
And I think anyone would. Because, yeah, I think you had a great you tell me that your childhood was like the best times of your life.
My little years. Yes.
Your little years.
My teenage years and my middle school years were terrible. But my little years were wonderful.
And I think that...
But I was also one of those people, like, I always wanted to get out of the city. I always wanted to start a life of my own. I couldn't wait until I was old enough to be independent.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel that freedom now. I feel a weight taken off of my shoulders now that I'm more independent. But I also feel I don't think that guilt will ever go away.
Of course not, because, and I think what first started as your parents being very vocal about you being home and needing to be home, I think it's transitioned into not an acceptance, because maybe an acceptance, not an acknowledgement, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't talk about it when we're home. Really.
Not with my dad.
I don't think that there are really, in my experience, at least not around us, of, what's the neighborhood like? You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't yet experienced that.
I don't even know what I would say, though.
Right, because I think that you would feel bad about saying that you're enjoying it here.
But it's not that I'm enjoying it more than being with them.
No, I'm not saying that you are.
Yeah. I do feel like I take a step backward every time I go back, but you can't avoid that because you have to go home. And like today, everyone in LA travels, especially during this time, especially the people at my studio.
Mm-hmm.
And my coworker asked me, do you have any big travel plans for the summer? And I normally don't have any big travel plans for the summer anyway. And, that also takes a lot of saving money, which we didn't really account for this year. And though you can travel cheaply, so maybe we'll have go away on a whim. But I said to her, and I felt so like pathetic when I said this, but I said, I don't think that I can spend my vacation time not going home.
Really?
I can't, because
that's true.
I go home once a month. I can't account for a time when I go away from myself, and that would feel even when I went to Disneyland, I felt so selfish that I was taking off work for that instead of my family. And the only reason that I justified it was because it was for you. That's
true. I wanted to go so bad.
And it was wonderful. But it was Disneyland, I
just
like,
I was
even
sobbing
like
at the water show.
He was
sobbing.
He was so happy.
Like, it was fully the water show with the lights. What's it called? It's called something.
Oh, Color. World of Color.
World of Color.
She looks like Simba right now.
It was my birthday. was 23 in the front weeping
He was.
to fucking Coco.
Coco gets you every time.
Dude, that's a good song.
It is. I don't know. But it is hard also when you come back and you realize, yes, I have a life here, but I'm not actively pursuing my dream. And like, what the hell am I doing? You know?
Yeah.
Like, we are not making movies right now. I'm not in a television show. I've been auditioning for a full straight year and I haven't gotten anything. And it is discouraging and it feels like shit sometimes. And I want to give up most days. And that's hard. It's hard
But I
to have nothing to show for being here.
Right.
And not justifying why I'm here. Because every time that I didn't come home when I was in college, I'd have to explain why. And I cannot explain why. Because I've been working for a year and I've got nothing.
But I think that the reason you feel that way and the reason I think you scrutinize yourself so much is because the expectation is, oh, I need to find something tangible to show for myself. For my parents to accept why I'm here. Not that being here is... I'm going to be honest with you. I can see the life we would have had if we had just stayed in San Francisco, and I think you would have been miserable. And that's not a hatred on SF or your family or your people or your life there. I'm just saying where we were in our life, we were probably going to live there at some point, right? I'm not condemning that at all. I'm just saying I think that from where we were, this was just
the next step.
And I don't disagree with it. Even if, I don't think we're behind. I don't think that we're we have a pretty
great podcast.
We have 17 subscribers.
Wow.
Annie
Most of
subscribed.
are my family.
True. I got the alert. As soon as you soft launched to your family, we got like 6 in that night.
That was only a soft launch.
I know. Can you only imagine? But I understand that, of course, there's going to be guilt, and I don't think that that's going to necessarily go away. But I think that this inner scrutiny over everything, over every day, I just think it's and I do it to myself to an extent as well. It's
really, I don't see that.
Anyway.
Sorry, that was mean.
No. I mean, look at me.
Right. I don't know.
I just think, as we were saying before, we feel reset to the first time we moved every time we come back because we're just reminded of this thing. However, I will say, I just don't think it's the ship we're supposed to be on right now. I truly don't. And even if we committed to it, I don't think we'd end up where we want it, where it's going right now.
I agree. I think it's sometimes hard to see where it's going.
Of course.
Like, I sit and work.
Right.
And I've probably been working there for 8 months. Just a fine job, but it's not like my life is moving anywhere. And I feel stagnant. And I want something to happen. And, I've started journaling to myself again because I'm a little nerd. Because I'm a little tusu. And I'm like, I'm waiting for a life-changing event. I'm waiting to wake up and my life to change. And that's not a good place to be at. I think that I should make that change on my own, but I don't even know where to start.
I think you will make that change for yourself. I think that anyone who wakes up
But
with that
how?
disposition,
How
it
when
will
you're not?
happen. Again, it's one of those things where you just can't. You know, there's no way to take your stick and put it into the ground. I mean, it's going to happen when the leaves change color. You just can't put a finger on it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so fucking hard. And that's why I firmly believe the reason why, and this isn't just in what we're trying to do, but in anything in life, the reason why people often give up is because they don't anticipate that it might take some time.
And I know it will take time. I know that a year isn't that long.
But I get what you mean.
But I don't want it to take more than 2 years
Yeah,
to start.
I get you.
I know that the building of my career in its own will take years. I don't want to wait 18 years to have a big break. I know that I think of life in a linear way, and that's wrong, and that I should think of it as. But I want to be working. I miss acting, and I feel like, you know, that part of me is totally missing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
And with the writer's strike, I'm like, are we going to lose out on auditions? Like, are we going to be able to even be cast in projects? I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not trying to be negative, though I realize I am sounding a bit negative.
I think it's just you're playing to the beat. A drum. Oh, what's she gearing up for? What's this? Okay, readjusting. Yeah, I hear you, girl.
I don't know. I feel like every time I come back here, I have to restart and re-rev the engine and get ready to work on basically nothing. It's really hard to do your own work because you're working toward you don't know what, you know? I don't know.
But I think
don't
that
even know
that's
what I'm saying.
yeah, I get you, girl.
But in my parents' mind, I work a job to pay the bills, and I'm hoping to get something.
Right.
And that's what it is. You know.
But I think it's a lot more nuanced than that, quite frankly. And despite it being at times inexplicable, and certainly inexplicable to them, I think that there's a lot going on.
Right now. In our life.
I think before we went home, I think it felt like we were building to a thing. I don't know. I truly believe
But then
that.
that feels just so dumb when we come back. It's like, what were we building to? It's not here.
Mm-hmm. Because I think it's just that it's hard, man. Changing it up. It's fucking tough.
If you're a famous director watching this, please cast me in your movie.
Please.
Aaron will do nude.
Suck. What? Oh, okay. Well, we were going for similar things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were both prostituting you.
Yeah. Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a natural choice.
He's the hot one.
Right.
He has the bod for days. For days, darling.
For days, darling. Yeah.
How much time are we at?
No, I feel like we're good. I did want to talk about Succession briefly, but we don't need to. I think.
No,
we're good.
go for it.
I just fucking hated that finale.
It was awful. The acting was so good. Like, I think that they made everything seem justified.
And again, like, sorry, I know this was like an extreme pivot, but
no, we needed to pivot.
yeah, whatever. But I don't
Still about
disagree with the choices necessarily. I don't disagree with the decisions that were made from a plot perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so fucking structurally messy that I just didn't like, you know, there were nuances that I liked. I liked that, you know, the scene where they are in the room and they're all fighting and this is also, we're doing spoilers, but honestly, if you don't want to see it, just
Turn it off. Turn us
Just
off.
stop
but please
watching.
subscribe and like and comment
Yes.
on how hot Aaron is.
Exactly. But when they were all like screaming at each other and Kendall, they were really trying to juxtapose the idea of when they were kids and the fact that, they are just kids to this sort of corporate environment that they're just treading water on. I understand that. And I liked, when Kendall is unable to defend himself, all he can say is, I'm the eldest boy. Things like that.
Yeah.
And I liked how when he went to abuse Roman, instead of Roman defending himself, he just stopped. Because that's like victims of abuse, especially children, when they're abused, they won't fight it.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, but then once he goes for Shiv, Roman gets involved. So those things, I think that there were nuances, but I thought it was just such bullshit, and I thought that it was just so clear that they were going for some kind of reaction.
I think the characters needed to change. I think Kendall needed to... If anyone was going to screw them over, it should have been Kendall becoming his father.
I totally agree. And there's an aspect like Shiv's becoming her mother. She's totally just her mother now, right? She's married a CEO. She's fucked over her family. For what? And they've made that decision.
But it's also...
But it's like, come
she
on,
also
you
doesn't...
fucking idiots.
She's not as playful as the mother. She still has that CEO. The mom's manipulative in a playful way, where it's even scarier. And I understand that Shiv kind of became her mother, but
I just think that they were so clearly trying to subvert expectation, even from the fucking beginning. I felt like every episode of the season was like the first episode of the season.
I agree.
Nothing felt rounded out. It didn't feel like it was building to anything.
And you know what? It's okay to have a moment that feels satisfying at the end of a series. It doesn't have to feel earth-shattering. That felt like a drama. It felt like a tragedy. And
it felt like a
and
fucking
honestly,
soap
Succession
opera.
is a comedy. They should have come together at the end. I don't care in what way. I don't care if they lost the company. I don't care if they got the company. I don't care if one of them died. They needed to come together in some sort of way.
And they were just setting up so much thematically that just was dropped like a fucking nothing. And even the whole prospect of Logan selling the company, why would he do that? Do you know what I mean?
No, he wouldn't do that. He would just fuck people over.
And I get it. Logan wins in the end again. And Kendall, Tom once said, I see you get fucked every step of the way, and I've never seen Logan get fucked once. They stay true to the sort of essential root of certain characters. Kendall gets fucked in the first board meeting. He gets fucked in the last.
Right.
I don't disagree with the outcomes. I thought that, again, it just being the last person and Shiv fucking him over.
Shiv would not be the one to do it. It would have been Roman, if anyone, to protest.
And we watched them sorry, I'm getting mad now, but we watched them in a kitchen fucking blending shit for 10 minutes. Why were we that was so stupid. And that's how I felt about the whole last season. It's okay, we're going to watch Roman fucking lick a block of cheese and him pour a smoothie over Kendall's head. I understand. And I listen to the podcast. If anyone sends me a podcast, the Succession podcast, I'm going to shoot myself in the head.
I didn't listen to it. Don't send it to me, though.
I'm going to Chappaquiddick someone.
That was crazy.
But all I'm saying is thing cut off. We're resuming. I apologize for that. The card filled up in my rage and confusion on how to articulate my feelings. I don't know why I was so deeply upset. I don't think anyone else was as deeply upset as me. But I'm going to try again to explain what I was feeling. I just think that when you are called Succession, and the whole point of your show is who is going to take up this business, we should probably make good and reasonable business decisions. Or if you are going on the route of subversion, to at least pick a more, like, I think Tom was such a boring fucking pick. Do you know what I mean?
That was weird. I didn't like that it was Tom.
Because I understand why would it be Shiv. That made no sense.
Your prediction was Greg.
I think Greg would have been hilarious. I understand it would have been stupid, but if they just wanted to be funny, have it be Greg. Because Tom doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, I guess because Tom's a hard worker in season 4 all of a sudden.
I guess it justifies why she went against Kendall, maybe.
Right, for her bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
For her kid.
Right.
But that's so fucking hollow. And then, like, she doesn't trust her brother or whatever.
It's also like she hates Tom, so.
And there's also no... And also, like, Tom being CEO, that's such a... They have no control.
I think it was a cop-out for her. I think it undermined her as a character.
It undermined her as
because, and she was my favorite character.
And even in
it made her stupid. And sorry.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No, continue.
And it undermined her relationship with Kendall, which I think my favorite part of Succession was the sibling relationships.
Yeah, I don't know why they were so...
And it just ruined everything that was building up with Tom. Like, it just made it whatever.
Yeah. And I get that there's tension there now. I get that there's, like, sadness there.
And it would be cool if there was another season maybe to explore that, but there's not.
I just think that they really tried to cram everything in. And I just think that they kind of... They really just wanted to be interesting. And I think that it was at the expense of kind of just meh. And then the message is... I mean, I don't know why anyone would ever want to watch that episode again.
I wouldn't.
Like, I will never watch that episode again. I just think that there was nothing... There was no moment I could release, and therefore no moment where I could process and think about any of the deeper stuff that could have been going on. And, yeah, Tom... And again, whatever. I don't need to go on.
Again, what?
I think that I just think that there were so many opportunities and so many places to take things that just felt like a very singular perspective. Like, this was clearly written by Jesse Armstrong, and he was just like, yeah, that's it. You know, it wasn't particularly interesting, and they were just building. It's literally like, I get it. They don't want to make it a huge climactic event because that would be our expectation. But when your name is Succession, that is the climactic event.
And it was soapy.
And it was a fucking soap opera. It was Dallas. Succession could have been cool, and it's nothing more than 1970s Dallas.
Well, I bought it for $35.
Yes, I know. But the going rate is 30, and no one's buying. I would have taken 32, and I told him so.
Oh, I wish you'd stayed out of this.
I couldn't do that, J.R. You acted in an irresponsible manner, using the family business to wage your own personal vendetta. If your daddy were here, he never would have put up with that. I think it's time to vote on whether you should continue as president of Ewing Oil.
All right.
And your 10, Ray?
Yeah.
Bobby, you have 20 votes. What do you say?
I'll pass for the moment.
Lucy, how do you cast your 10 votes?
Out.
Greg is my true successor. And...
Even though
what?
He may be.
Oh, true. Yeah, Nicholas Braun, your days are numbered, buddy. Anyway.
I think I wouldn't make him a successor if he was a pedophile in real life.
That's
it
true.
It just seems too much. I'm glad they didn't do that. Sorry. We are supported by Gone Berry Crazy. These delicious tiny berries are covered in a sweet, thick layer of chocolate. They're delectable, they're soft, they're crunchy, and they're the perfect sweet snack after a long day of working front desk in a Pilates studio. Please, someone sponsor us.
And just don't name your show Succession if you're going to just speak in sentence fragments for 4 years and then just... Okay.
And look at this cute bunny. How cute is
There was
that
not
bunny?
one complete sentence in that last episode.
Right.
That's a cute bunny.
Do not defrost, just open and enjoy. Look, it's saying it to us.
That's really sweet.
So cute.
That bunny kind of looks like you.
It does, doesn't it?
Wait, I want to zoom in on you. I want the last image because I'm a lot right now, and I actually think that we did pretty good. You did great today. So
You did great today,
I want to
too.
do a single close on you with the bunny thing. Okay, just hold on. Thanks, guys. If anyone has any responses to my Succession thing, I'd be happy to have a dialogue. I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up about it. Okay, come on. Oh God, no one wants to see that. Anything else?
These are so yummy. You can keep multiple boxes in your fridge. They make you feel like you're healthy even if you're not being, and it satisfies that lovely sweet tooth that we always crave. If you're a chocolate fan, if you're an ice cream fan, if you're a frozen treat fan, this satisfies all your cravings. Gone Berry Crazy by Trader Joe's.
God bless.
This was a fake ad. They do not in fact pay me, but I will eat this whole box tonight.
Good night.
Good night. God bless America.
That one was crazy.